who can say that the President of USA did not renege on his election promises? It might be cliched, but the devil does deserve his due here. He did make a promise and certainly kept it in asserting that the U.S. Embassy must be located in Jerusalem. That reminds one of Malcolm X's words from his speech at the Oxford Union debate in 1964. The only difference between America and South Africa is South Africa preaches separation and practices separation, while America preaches integration and practices segregation. This is the only difference. They Americans don't practice what they preach as. South Africa preaches and practices the same thing. I have more respect for a man who let me knows where he stands even if he is wrong than the one who comes up like an angel but is nothing but a devil. So Donald Trump qualifies for receiving Malcolm X's respect for preaching and practicing the same, though not a norm in American policy, as Malcolm suggested. It is a very different story when the same litmus test of character is applied to the so-called leaders of the dubious Muslim Renaissance. The Zionist Jews and the Zionist Christians did not come to Palestine for a picnic that they could have enjoyed elsewhere. 100 years ago, in 1917, America, France and Britain all recognized the right of a Jewish homeland in Palestine in accepting the spirit of Balfour Declaration. They did so, not because Palestine was a tourist attraction, rather, because of the false claim of Israelites in having the right to revive the historic Judaic rule of Prophet David in Prophet Solomon's era from Jerusalem. So it was always about Jerusalem, and you have to be deaf, dumb and blind to be in shock, 100 years after the Balfour Declaration, in not knowing that the illegitimate child of British colonialism was here for Jerusalem. You must have been sleeping shamelessly as a Muslim scholar, and as a leader of a Muslim-majority nation, had you not been ready for it. To think that the imposter state of Israel would keep lurking around its priced and claimed possession of Jerusalem and would settle meters away from the very city that is at the foundation of its religious history and philosophy is nothing short of intellectual sin if you call yourself a Muslim leader or a Muslim scholar. So Donald Trump qualifies for receiving Malcolm X's respect for preaching and practicing the same, though not a norm in American policy. As Malcolm suggested, take for instance the curious case of Recep Tayyip Erdogan. The man has been inviting America, Britain, and France to Syria, believing in all his sincere innocence that these angels from the Western powers are well suited in ousting a terrorist leader, Bashar al-Assad, right next to Israeli borders. A primary school history teacher, if not by any chance jailed by Tayyip Erdogan for his participation in the failed Turkish coup, would be able to educate Erdogan that it were the same forces, i.e., America, Britain and France, who in 1917 validated the Zionist brainchild of Israel and then helped create Israel and are still proudly the foster parents of the Jewish nation. While America was creating an anti-Assad sentiment through its media outlets, it was Erdogan who took the position of their mouthpiece in the Muslim world, in declaring Assad culpable for making Syria a terrorist state, and also helped create instability in Syria to the joy of all Zionists who would love a weak Syria in the neighborhood with bands of terrorists fighting on sectarian lines, forgetting all about the biting oppression that Palestinians are subjected to. As America has taken another step towards the ultimate jewel in Israel's crown, Tayyip Erdogan is quick in promoting himself as an anti-Israel leader. That is what reminds one of Malcolm X's historic words again. Turkey is a part of NATO, the alliance which makes Turkey an essential ally of the same Western trio that is at the back of Israel. Not only that, Turkey is blessed in being one in only 5 countries who have the status of hosting American nuclear arsenal as part of NATO's nuclear sharing policy. The acceptance of Israel, and having an Israeli embassy in Istanbul, is the acceptance of a Jerusalem under Zionist Israel, for the city is the foundation of fundamental theology behind the very existence of Israel. Also, one must come clean of NATO's alliance, the military arm of all Zionist aspirations, before talking, and it's all a talk of Palestinian rights. For if the Israel is under threat, it is the Incirlik base in Turkey from where the help may arrive. This military base not only has American nuclear arsenal but is used by British Royal Air Force and Royal Saudi Air Force. It is wicked and shameless if you wake up with an anti-Israel rhetoric after being in bed with NATO every night. It is that kind of meager state of Muslim leadership whose hypocrisy has left Zionist Israel almost unchallenged. Donald Trump has drawn a line. It is no longer a Shia-Sunni battle in the House of Islam. Rather it is the oppressor against the oppressed, i.e., Israel and its strategic partners against the oppressed Palestinians, and it is no longer impossible to discern the devil from the angel. If you are a part of NATO's military alliance, and if you brand yourself as any military alliance or military power and care not to hurl as much as a stone at Israel, but are ready to smoke Yemen, Syria or the Kurds any day, helping the Zionist cause of regional instability, then there is no obscurity in where your interests lie, with the oppressor, or against him. If you deliver bombast against Israel but your ammunition ends up being used against the already oppressed Muslim nations around you, and the elephant in the room is not visible to your men in uniform, then your pro-Palestinian rhetoric is no more good enough for those having even half an ounce of brains left with them, that is, if their brains have not been rendered useless in being tuned into the Zionist media outlets. If you talk Israel but your gun barrels point to Yemen, Iran and Syria, one doesn't even need eyes to read the manufacturer's mark on your weaponry. Recent UN General Assembly's emergency session overwhelmingly rejected America's decision to accept Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. It is a diplomatic victory for Palestine, however, it would have been much better if those opposing the American position, especially the Muslim countries, had reconsidered the extent of their trade and diplomatic relations with Israel and its strategic partners.